All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the National Jazz Museum in Harlem. Excited to have you here tonight. To those tuning in on the stream, thank you very much for joining us. My name is Ryan Maloney. I work here in the Education and Programming Department. How many of you have been to the museum before? I see some familiar faces. So got some new folks as well. Thank you so much for coming out. At the National Jazz Museum in Harlem, we present over 100 public programs a year. Just about every single one of those is free and open to the public. And we are able to do that because people believe in our mission to preserve, promote, and present live music here in Harlem. We do receive some funding from our government support. We receive some foundation support. But the money that has the biggest impact is that of individuals. That allows us to literally keep the lights on, pay the salaries, pay our rent. A lot of the government money and foundation money we get, there's strings attached. We need to deliver programming, and we do that very happily. But individual donors go a long way. So those of you who did make a donation, either online or on your way in, we greatly appreciate it. If you would like to make a donation on your way out, we make it very easy. There's a cash box up there. You can drop off a little money. You can also visit with Maciel, the lovely person who greeted you when you came in. She can help facilitate a donation. It is not a requirement, but if you believe in what we do and you want this to keep going, we would encourage you, if you're able, to make a little donation. So thank you so much for that. Coming up, we have a lot of great programming going on the next 2 months in partnership with the West Harlem Jazz Festival. We're presenting a number of shows. You can find that on our website, jmih.org. And then, although we have not gone public yet, we will let you know that June 13th this year is our Juneteenth Black Music and Dance Festival, which will take place at Marcus Garvey Park, just down the street here. So we hope that you will come hang out with us. This will be the 6th annual festival. So 3 great bands, some great dancers, more on that. By the end of the week, you'll see the press release come out on that. So we encourage you to come hang out with us. In addition to our public programming, we see about 6,000 students come into this space, this modest little space on 129th Street, one classroom at a time, 30 kids at a time, and we deliver one of our 7 workshops to them. These frequently are students' first exposure to live jazz music, and we take that work very seriously. And so if you know of any schools or teachers that are looking for some enrichment opportunities for their students, please let them know that we're here. We have a very low cost, low barrier of access to that, all the way to free. So we'd love to have more kids in here and expose them to the history of this neighborhood and this music. Tonight is part 2 of a very meaningful series here that we're doing here at the museum. And we're going to bring out the producer of this series, going to share a little bit more about what you're going to experience tonight and about our amazing curator. So this man is a trumpet player, a band leader, a journalist, has feet in all kinds of different things. He's an educator. We're always lucky when we can find time to work with him because he's a very busy man. Please welcome Mr. Nabate Isles.
Thank you, Ryan. Hi, everybody. How y'all doing today? Yes, so this is a great series that's curated by the great Maimouna Youssef, aka Mumu Fresh. I want you all to give her a round of applause. Talented lyricist, talented vocalist. She's not here today, but she curated and she was able to make this happen to bring DJ Lance and Kassa overall here to talk with all of you here at the National Jazz Museum of Harlem. But first, it's the series is called Jazz Rules Everything Around Me, Part 2, which is Part 1 featured Terry Lynn Carrington, the great drummer, NEA jazz master, the wonderful harpist Brandy Younger, and it was also Maimouna Youssef who was here with them. So that was on April 4th. So a month later is this presentation, and then the future ones will be a virtual discussion which will take place on June 3rd. That will feature Maimouna Youssef, Keon Harold, the great Grammy-nominated trumpet player, and the great filmmaker and writer Nelson George. So they're going to be together. It's going to be virtual, so check out the website. and you'll see information for that. And then the last part will be June 13th, where my band will perform. We'll do a set doing a tribute to Miles Davis. Obviously, we know Miles Davis's birthday. It's the anniversary of his birth, the 100th anniversary on May 26th. So on June 13th, my band, which is Electric Miles Project, it was a consortium grant that was given to the National Jazz Museum of Harlem, and I'm working with them on that. It's going to be a tribute to his electric music of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And Maimouna Youssef is going to be performing with my band as well. So that's the series of Jazz Rules Everything Around Me. But this particular one, part 2, brings together visionary artist Kassa Overall and DJ Lance for a listening party and conversation exploring the creative exchanges between jazz and hip hop. So now I want to introduce the individuals, the luminaries. First, DJ Lance Reynolds is a Washington, D.C. based DJ, producer, and cultural curator known for genre-spanning sets rooted in hip-hop, jazz, funk, soul, and global grooves. A respected force in the D.C.'s creative music community, he is recognized for his deep listening, innovative programming, and connecting audiences through sound. So I want to present first, Mr. DJ Lance Reynolds. And next is Kassa Overall, is a groundbreaking drummer, producer, MC, and composer whose work is redefining the future of jazz through a bold synthesis of improvisation, hip-hop, and electronic music. He was born and raised in Seattle, Washington, and shaped by influences ranging from Ornette Coleman to Public Enemy. He developed an artistic voice and rooted in experimentation and social consciousness, especially after graduating from the Oberlin Conservatory of Music and building his career in New York, where he played often with the late, great Jerry Allen, John Batiste, Vijay Iyer, and Gary Bartz. His acclaimed solo recordings, including Go Get It, Ice Cream, and Listen to Jazz, I Think I'm Good, Animals, and Cream, have established him as one of the most innovative voices in contemporary music, and he was also a recipient of the 2025 Doris Duke Artist Award. It is my pleasure to present Mr. Kassa Overall. So I'm gonna leave it to y'all now. Do your thing. Y'all know what to do.
How's everybody doing? Great to see everyone. It's great to be in New York City. Typically, I'm milling about the streets of Washington, D.C., which is a pretty exciting place these days, as you guys have probably heard. So music has been one of those things that kind of help us get through all the drama of the D.C. area. So I'm really happy to be in a different place today with the New Yorkers and one of my favorite places on the planet. So he introduced both of us. I also have a radio show on WBAI's sister station. How many people know about WBAI? Everybody in the room, right? Yeah. So we have a sister station on the Pacifica Network called WPFW, 89.3 FM. So I have a show. Oh, right on. Okay, we got some strength out there. All right. Yeah, so I have a show on WPFW called The House of Soul that comes on every Saturday at 10 a.m. And I'm so happy to be joined by my brother, Kassa Overall. We've worked together a couple of times over the years, and I'm so happy he's here. This is one of the best drummers on the planet right now. I don't know if you guys know that. My brother right here knows because he got a Kassa T-shirt on, so he knows what's up, right? So yeah, it's really great to be sitting here in this wonderful museum here in Harlem, New York, talking about, you know what I'm saying? Talking about hip hop and jazz. Things are going well for us, yes, indeed, to put it mildly. And so, talk to me about your roots, brother. Talk to me about your roots. You're originally from Seattle, Washington. Is that correct? Yeah. And so, talk to me about a little bit of your history, a little bit of your bio, and then how it is that you actually found jazz music, or did it find you?
Yeah. Well, how y'all doing? Good to see you. Good to see y'all. Thanks for having me. I would say that it found me, we found each other. It's hard to say exactly. But I was born in a household where the living room was similar to this room in the sense of, the drums and the piano were the main part of the living room, you know. And it was my parents weren't like they were musicians, but you know they were more hobbyists. You know, they both did some performing professionally, but more just dabbled. And so their relationship to the instruments and the music was very like go crazy. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like don't touch that, like my saxophone, don't mess up my saxophone. You know what I mean? Right. It was like another toy. You know, a saxophone, drum set, upright piano. There was a violin that nobody knew how to play in the house. Nobody knew how to play it. You know, and we all would try and break it and there was a record player, and eventually there was a 4-track recorder, and eventually there was a trumpet. You know what I mean? It was just that it was casual and natural, and that's always been my relationship to music in general. It's always been like a form of play or discovery. And then my dad was born in 1937.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and he was ahead, you know. So I grew up listening to Miles and Monk and Train and Sun Ra and Ornette and Nina Simone and, you know, Billie Holiday and also like getting the, I guess you would say like a cultural introduction to it, not as much academic or musical, but more like when this album dropped, this is what it felt like, or this is what I was, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'll tell you one random story. My dad tells me a story about the first time he heard Charlie Parker. And I think he was, let's say he was 6 or something. I don't remember exactly the age, but he was real young. And he heard it on a record player. And he said he had never heard music that sounded like that, right? And he said he heard the music and it sounded like somebody was talking from the saxophone. As a little kid, he said, I don't know how else to explain it, but it was like, I heard this music and it sounded like, and he was talking. And he ran over to the record player, ran underneath the record player and laid underneath the record player like this. And like, that was it. You know what I mean? That
he was
like,
stuck.
That's just sealed the deal, yeah. So that's kind of what brought me into it, and I never really left.
Were drums, was that your first instrument?
Yeah.
Okay, and how did your love affair with the drums start?
Easiest one to play at diapers age, you know what I mean? That was the one that you could make sense of immediately.
Okay.
And also the drum set was technically my brother's, who is 4 years older than me. So, you know, if
Did you say 40?
4 years older.
Oh, okay. I was like, Pop, come on, Pop.
Technically, let me see, 37. No. Yeah, so, yeah, I was just trying to be trying to be my brother. You know how siblings, I was just trying to do what he was doing. And it turned out I kind of had a natural
thing for it.
Yeah, so he grabbed the saxophone.
Ah, so your brother plays sax?
Yep.
Does he record?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
He plays with Diggable Planets.
Oh, I've seen your brother.
Yeah, with the dreads.
Get out of here.
And he also plays with Shabazz Palaces.
Yeah, okay, the side group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Can you guys hear okay out there? All right, okay, good. So this is a very compelling and interesting story. I'm always interested in how people find their passions. And then I really enjoy hearing that your parents opened the door to it and made it a thing that where you were able to receive what music had to give you through playing, through recreation, through having fun. You know, and do you still look at music as a fun thing? I know it's a job. Everything is, you know, any job you have has challenges. But is it still a fun thing for you?
Absolutely.
And do you still? Now, I'll give you a little small story. When he walked in the room, the first thing he did was look at the drum set and say, "Where are the cymbals and where's the rest of the kit?" So it is true. I believe you when you say that it's like a fun thing for you because your eyes lit up as soon as you saw the drums.
Yeah. I would say that you know, when you get in a stage where you're supporting your life doing music.
Yeah.
Probably any kind of art or anything. But it's not the music, but it's all the other things you have to do as well. So you have the amount of time you can spend working on musical projects you have to do, and then you have a little more time to work on music that's just, I just want to try this. But then you have all the emails and the
Pressing
flights
matters.
and what else? Contracts and hotels and people's diets. You know, people can only eat certain stuff, and the peanuts, or you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah,
So
the
you
minutia
gotta,
of the business.
So you know, I think that what I'm supposed to do is figure out how to go like this, and then all I have to do is get up and practice the drums. But I haven't figured that out yet. I still,
Okay, so that's a little bit about Kassa's early years. And I love the story because, I love the parents. I love to hear stories about supportive parents and people that find these things early in their lives. My personal story with jazz, I'm originally from Hampton, Virginia. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Hampton, Virginia, near Virginia Beach, Norfolk, all of that. The 757, as we call it. I grew up around the Hampton Jazz Festival. It used to be called the Cool Jazz Festival, originally started by a student government leader who happened to be my English teacher in high school, started the Hampton Jazz Festival as a part of their senior project. And so my mother was a student at Hampton Institute at that time. And so I have pictures of the very first two first jazz festivals. I have pictures of Rosalind Roland Kirk with all the horns. I have Lionel Hampton Big Band, Donny Hathaway playing keys. And this is all from the first jazz festival. So the experience in Hampton was one of those weird things where we're in this little small southern town, but you may see Dizzy Gillespie at the mall or something because he's in town for the Cool Jazz Festival, or, you know, we had Hampton Coliseum there. So every act that you can imagine played at the Hampton Coliseum.
Wow.
So it was a weird thing, a small city, but we had Hampton Coliseum in Norfolk Scope. So pretty much anybody that played anything has been through that small town.
Were you always dabbling in all the genres? I know as a DJ, you kind of have to know
Absolutely
everything.
So for me, my mother was a fan of all types of music: jazz, R&B, soul, funk, you name it. And so through her, I picked up a lot of the. You know, she was very young when she had me. So in the '70s, she was an afro wearing, hot pants, the whole nine. So that was my mom, and so she turned me on to just about any and every act, from Miles Davis' Bitches Brew, that record was in the house, to James Brown's, all of his music was in the house. And then my grandmother was into Brooke Benton, into, those other classic artists. So at a point, I pulled every record in the house into my bedroom and claimed them all as my own. And so that was my start in this sort of what they call now open format DJing, which is to say that we play from all the genres, So that started for me from day one.
Mm-hmm.
In '82, I started to DJ at the age of 12. I was a teenage DJ, rented my first venue in '86 at 16.
Uh-huh.
And now it's moved into a career of producing large events and all that kind of good stuff.
In '82, what were you spinning at the first event?
Well, it's interesting. It wasn't a whole lot of hip hop around at that time in '82. It was a little bit. We had Rapper's Delight. Mm-hmm. We had The Message came out in '82. '82 is when it really started a lot of albums started to come out, a lot of singles started to come out. So from, I'd say, '82 to '84, it was just like this bum rush of music. Like I remember when Planet Rock first dropped. That was a big deal, and the more up-tempo sounds.
Yep.
But anyway, we're kind of rambling. Let me bring it back to what the discussion is about today. This is my man, so I could talk to him, extemporaneously.
Spin the block.
Right. So we're here today to talk about jazz and hip hop and the correlations between the two, and then also how hip hop has used jazz to create its sounds. Right. Now, talk to me about, on the way up here on the bus, I thought about both of these musics. And I kind of I correlated them to soy. Now that sounds weird, doesn't it? Soy.
Yeah.
Yeah, soy. You ever notice that soy takes on the taste of anything that you add to it? You can make soy taste just like just about anything. You got vegan restaurants that make soy taste like fish. You got, make it taste like beef, make it taste like this, make it taste like that.
I grew up vegetarian, so
you know what I'm talking about. So these musics are able to absorb other sounds. They're able to absorb the music of the day, incorporate it into their genre, and give it back to us in this creative way.
Yeah,
that's to me the greatest comparison, or the best spot to start when talking about jazz and hip hop, is that both of them are very good at absorbing other sounds and incorporating them into the music. Hip hop being, of course, much more derivative in nature. Hip hop, of course, goes out and, as they used to say long ago, there's a term, looking for the perfect beat.
Right.
So not too far from here, that term was first stated, looking for the perfect beat. What does that mean? People like Grandmaster Flash, people like Africa Bambaataa, people like Hollywood, other DJs here in New York City would search the entire planet for the best beats to play in hip-hop parties. Many of the people here may have been at some of those parties. The original hip-hop party was not presenting a genre. It was presenting a bunch of different genres that happened to have a rhythmic nature that we could call hip-hop, right? Mm-hmm. So with that said, as time went on, of course, new technology came to bear. And through that technology, through samplers, through other forms of technology, we were able to take snippets of those records and initially lift the entire song. Like you look at Rapper's Delight, which is replayed version of Good Times. But eventually we were able to just sample whole parts of music. Then there were producers that came along that brought a different level of creativity and skill to that sampling thing.
Yeah.
Right? So people like Q-Tip, people like Pete Rock, people like DJ Premier. Y'all can applaud for these people, by the way. These are very important people in the hip-hop genre. Q-Tip, Pete Rock, DJ Premier, people like Madlib, and many others began to sample jazz music.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time that you heard a jazz song in a hip-hop song?
I'd have to think about it. And I probably could figure it out easily. Well, I was looking for, because of the prompt discussion we had, I realized that Donald Byrd and the Blackbirds was sampled by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince on that record, Rock the House.
Yeah.
And the first record I really dove into as like my discovery was probably Rock the House. So that might be my first
jazz sample.
Yeah.
Okay, for me, I think it's, of course, I'd heard a lot of jazz prior to this, but I think it was the use of Night in Tunisia by Gangstar. I think it was Night in Tunisia with Gangstar. That was probably the first time I really said to myself, that's a jazz sample.
Right.
And these guys are doing something totally different than, say, somebody who's sampling a funk song or an R&B song.
Yeah.
Right? So, and you also produce hip-hop music as well. You're not just a jazz artist. You do beats, you do the whole thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't really approach music with that as like a left and right hand, you know what I mean? Like I approach it more holistically, but yeah, I mean, some could say my music is jazz. Some people would say that's not, you might hear it and say that's not jazz, so it's whatever it is to you, really,
Yeah. Now, let's talk about the use of jazz in hip hop sampling from this perspective. Can you talk to me about rhythm and jazz? Of course, that is what motivates most hip-hop producers to select a particular jazz song. Sometimes it's the melody, but most of the time it's the rhythm.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing that I found was that those producers that sampled jazz were much more clever in their approach to, again, sampling and how they did it.
Yeah.
Right? Can you talk to us about rhythm and chopping and those types of things?
Yeah. So I feel like to To answer this question for real would be like a semester.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we could talk about one thing and talk about another. There's so many different things.
Yeah.
But I'll just grab a couple random ones.
Uh-huh.
And so this is not like all inclusive. But one thing about what we call jazz, as far as the rhythmic element of it, it doesn't come from the backbeat in the same way. I mean, it comes from a backbeat, but what it evolved into is where the rhythm was more of a vocabulary rhythm. So if you have a ride cymbal and you have a hi-hat, keeping time. Ding, 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 ding. The kick drum and the snare drum, which in funk or R&B is doing a strict pattern. In jazz, the kick drum and the snare drum is speaking. It's doing vocabulary language while the cymbal is keeping the time. So the kick and the snare is going more. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's actually more, that lines up more with someone speaking than it does a rhythm pattern. And so what that leads to, so you're saying that it's almost like a more rhythm out front or a more complex way of utilizing rhythm. And that also lines up with West African drum ensembles.
Yes.
So the lead djembe is speaking the language, and the supporting drums, the doom doom,
Jun jun.
yeah, those are doing the foundational rhythm, right? So the lead djembe rhythm is speaking a language similar to the snare drum and bass drum, which is similar to the same rhythms that an Andre 3000 would put on a Quemini. My mind floats in being, meet the twin, Andre being, welcome to the ding, right? So it's actually what I'm trying to, the picture I'm trying to paint is actually the same language in a different context. It's not that hip hop took from jazz and jazz took from West African drumming and we took it and made something new with it. It's the same language, right? And so if you look at if you look in a family, you know, if you have a grandfather or a grandson or a granddaughter, and they all look totally different, right? One of them might be dressing gothed out with a whole, and the other one's in the old school suit and tie, but they got the same face and the same
eyebrows,
and they got the same walk.
Yeah,
right. They got the same thing,
right.
And so that's like, I think that because of I was blessed to grow up in the house that I grew up in, because I saw it in this way. Like I kind of experienced it in this way where, oh, this is all a language. And so it almost became what you could call it an obsession, or kind of just like, I got to crack the code on this, because it felt like people didn't understand that, or it felt like there was a wall up in that kind of way, you know? And so when I was showing up maybe in a jazz environment, trying to impose more hip hop elements, I wasn't trying to be rebellious, you know what I mean? I wasn't trying to say, forget about that, we're taking it over here. You know, I was more trying to say, yo, this is all part of a thing. There's nutrition in all of this, you know what I mean? So, I know we just flew to Mars as far as the conversation.
Everybody's following, right?
Y'all following along?
Yeah, everybody's following. Okay, good, excellent.
So that's just one kind of path you could take dealing with the rhythm.
But I dig that a great deal. You're saying that it's all one language, and in the case of hip hop, maybe it's the vocal that is playing the role of the snare and the kick. In this other, jazz song, it might be something else that's giving you bombast, like you would find in a hip hop or whatever. But it's all one language. Even when you get into other genres outside of jazz and hip hop, rock and roll and whatever, the different instruments, the voice, and so on are all part of the conversation.
Yep.
Yeah, all part of that conversation. That is that's so dope. Now talking about who's familiar with what chopping is? Anybody raise your hand if you're familiar with what chopping is? Nobody? One brother, another one? In sampling, when using the device of sampling, you can sample parts. Let's say you could sample a part that's just one beat, right? And it just bop, 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 bop. Or you could sample something that is 2 beats, dot, dot. Or you could sample something that's 4 and so on. You might even sample something that is 8 beats, right? But with chopping, if you're looking at, let's say, what's a good song to talk? I can't think of a good song to correlate this to. But imagine if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Normally, you might sample that, like I said, 4, or you might sample all 8. In chopping, you might take 1 and then put 3 next to 1, and then take 7 and put it next to 3, and then you might take 2 and move it over here. And what ends up happening is it creates an entirely new either melody, rhythm, a completely different composition.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'd say composition. In some cases, it's more like rearranging a song, right? But in other cases, in the case of chopping, I would say that is creating an entirely new song.
Yeah.
Jay Dilla did that particularly well. You know, he was able to take bits and pieces of music and create new compositions. And many other of the hip-hop producers that I mentioned and others have been able to do that in such a way that it feels like what you would call a jazz composition because of how they chopped that rhythm or how they rearranged that melody. Is that something that you really dig and you're really into? Can you talk to me about chopping and how you approach it?
Yeah, absolutely. And this also ties in, the last thing I was saying, it ties in a little bit too with when we were talking about the rhythm. I think the abstract rhythms also allows for different kind of chops. You know, so if you're sampling George Clinton, you might kind of, there's already a pocket there. You know, like what you need for the hip hop is kind of already cooked into it.
Yeah.
But with a jazz record, you might get that from somewhere else. You might get the boom bap part from somewhere else, but the chop, the sample, if you're chopping from like a McCoy Tyner record or something, or a ballad or something, and you're just trying to get all the different harmonic and melodic elements, because the rhythm is so abstract, you really can chop it wherever you want. You know what I mean? And what I think some of my favorite samples are when people aren't actually adhering to the original 4/4 time, so they're creating a new time structure within the time structure. Because in a jazz song, you might have 4 beats that it's all washy, but then Madlib will grab that and make that 4 beats, and you know what I mean. And so, yeah, I've been doing that since, you know, before high school, and I would say that actually informed my compositional process. You know, like as I started figuring out how to apply the things I learned from making and studying hip hop into the live creative music space, I realized that chopping a sample is almost like a creative tool. You know, like if you sit down at the piano, you might use a pen and a pad, and that'll make you think a certain way. Or you might, you know, you could use anything, but chopping up time is just another tool. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, this is a great conversation. Jazz and hip hop to me are so closely related. Also from a cultural perspective, when you look at the concept of a hip cat in jazz, a hep cat in jazz, you know, especially 80s, 90s, early 2000s, hip hoppers were very similar, you know, in the sense that it was all about being cool. Yeah. You know, how cool can you know, be, whether it's through your attire or whether it's through your, or whether it's through your, the music you're playing, the things you're saying. And you mentioned how you can stretch out a song based on how you chop it. Yeah. I think that's motivated a lot of times by what the MC wants to say or what type of MC it is. I found, like, you remember Q-Tip very famously called himself the abstract poetic. And a lot of times those rhymes wouldn't sound as good on straight rhythms.
Yeah.
Straight melodies, very straight, very staid sort of sounds. And the way that they chop these jazz songs allowed them to expand their lyrics in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the things they were able to say became that much more broad. Okay, well, we're gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna play some tunes, y'all.
Y'all following along okay?
Y'all okay? All right, okay, cool.
Because I know it might sound like, it might sound like two tech guys talking about the defibrillator.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. The defibrillator is the X19 defibrillator.
You just gotta plug in the frequencies of 5/7.
Yeah, right.
I don't want that to happen. So y'all, if you know,
we're gonna play some music for you. These are some tunes that we both enjoy that sample jazz music. Use it. You ready over there? Okay. So we're gonna start with Eddie Harris. Lovely is Today. Any Eddie Harris fans in here? Yeah, Eddie Harris, Lovely is Today. Can you hit that one for me? This is my list, by the way. Now, this song was sampled by Gangstar. DJ Premier was the producer on it for a track called Too Deep. Can you hit the next one?
I'm too deep, and yes, much too complicated. My lines are quite often underrated, so consider it a privilege to hear this. The weak-minded opinions could never come near this, for my outlook on life is a profound view. While the suckers act down thinking that they sound new, only a few sound true. Me and the crew know who, cause see, me and the fellas have been waiting for a while now.
I want to hit this next part of the song. Well, let it run. Let it run.
Knowing that hard is something you can't beat. So
there's a second song that's sampled in this.
Never call my bluff, you catch hell, kid. You get dealt with. I never sleep, I always beat rhymes creep. I'm too deep, I'm too deep, I'm too deep.
Okay.
I forgive you, psych, I'm taking your life.
That's scratching. That's a jazz style solo.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yep.
That's a jazz style scratch solo. Now let's go to the next one.
Wait.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, speak on it.
One thing I want to say, because I was thinking about it, and if you listen to the beat by itself, it might feel a little simple. Like you're like, oh, it's just the two bars going over. What's so cool about that? But if you listen to Guru rapping over it, it's like the thing is that rhythm is still there. You know what I mean? So you almost have to hear the beat and the rap together to really understand how it's the same. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And so the production is just creating more space. It's like opening up rhythmic space so that the MC can actually get busy, you know. So I just want to point that out because I was thinking,
Yes, DJ Premier is beyond dope, and his use of jazz is storied. I mean, it is. He's one of the guys that, in fact, he had the song. It's a jazz thing. You remember the song, A Jazz Thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, by Gangstar. Anybody know that song, Jazz Thing? Yeah, that song uses a whole bunch of jazz songs in it. In fact, maybe we can play that at the end. Let's get into the next one. This is Galt McDermott. Anybody know Galt McDermott?
No.
Galt McDermott, you're not familiar?
No.
All right, this one is called Golden Apples Part 2. You're gonna recognize it when it hits. Hit that. Yeah, thank you.
Oh. Yeah.
right, so let's get into the song that sampled it.
ODB?
No. Dilla, beats, Dilla.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and now you are going to dance like you've never.
You know how he's chopping up
danced
bits and
before.
pieces of that track?
All right. They'll be mashed.
Okay, you can let that one go. So that's a great example of chopping, because you heard the original song by Galt McDermott and how it no. Dilla was taking bits and pieces of that melody and dropping little bits and pieces and then coming up with a new composition. So to me, it's one of the most brilliant. You know, he's
the one.
beyond. He's the one. He's Neo of of sampling and all of that. So we're gonna get into Kassa's tunes now. You ready to hit the Heath Brothers? Skip over the Bob James one. We're gonna get back to that. Go to the Heath Brothers, Smiling Billy Sweet, Part 2. Anybody familiar with the Heath Brothers? Okay. Say ho. All right, let's go to the track that sampled the Heath Brothers.
You have that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a track that sampled the Heath Brothers. Nas, One Love.
Ox.
Sorry, y'all. It's okay. We'll get it straight over there in a second.
Now I'll talk for a second about it. So like the reason I picked this one, I kind of was trying to think about different reasons to pick a tune, but this one I felt like the original, it already had the thing. You know what I mean? So they didn't have to
Do a lot.
recreate the wheel with that. You know what I mean? And that's an interesting thing with sampling in hip hop, because sometimes somebody will sample something and it'll feel like, well, what did they really do to it? You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think that it also points out the how do you say it? Like the power of deduction. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it'll be like, that was that little spot though. Like that was the 8 measures where it makes everybody. And
react.
if you can catch that and, you know what I mean, and
I
make
do.
it go infinitely. And so that one, I just like that one a lot, because when I first heard the original, I felt like I was listening to the Nas, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's interesting. In cases like that, many times the rarity of the record it comes into play. Or if no one has heard this song, very few people have heard the song that's being sampled. Like if it's a very popular song, you know, a hit record, you know, top 40, and you hear it sampled and they lift the whole thing 4 to 8 bars of a song, and you just know it off the top.
Yeah.
Like Good Times or by Chic or something like that, you know, where you know it immediately.
Right.
But I didn't know, I'd never heard of the Heath Brothers before that song came out. And I searched high and low for the Heath Brothers. So I think sometimes the rarity of the record comes into play. In cases, you know, sometimes they'll sample something in full like that because they know we never heard it. You know what I mean? Or they're introducing us to something. You know what I mean? And so let's continue on with your selections. Anything else you want to offer to that?
No.
Okay, Bill Evans. Oh yeah, go ahead, hit One Love. Yeah, go ahead, hit it. Play that one more again. So this samples the Heath Brothers, Smiling Billy Sweet. Roll over. That's good, good brother. Thank you so very much. I hate cutting off Nas because he's so good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I hate cutting them off. And very famously, of course, Nas's father, Oludara, is a jazz musician.
Yep.
And you know, he very famously has said many times that jazz influenced the way he rhymes and writes. You know, quite a bit. Rakim also has said many times that when he wrote a lyric, he wrote it to sound like an instrument.
Yeah.
So he's trying to sound like a trumpet, trying to sound like a saxophone.
Yeah.
You know, he was listening to different jazz artists, and his flow was derived from what he heard in this jazz music. And it was most interesting with him is that how he got into polysyllabic words. That's one, and then rhymes that finished in the next line, right? So there were all
the bar line.
Over the bar lines. So those were techniques that Rakim was one of the first, if not the first, to do those things. And I know it was influenced by jazz music.
Yeah.
You know, listening to sax solos or any solo from an instrument, you listen to Rakim and you can hear that he's emulating. Okay, got you. Got it. All right, cool. Thank you. Do you have Bill Evans over there? Yes, sir. All right, okay. So we're going to continue with Kassa's list. This next one, do you want to say something about Bill Evans first?
I think he was sampled a lot, especially by the Mad Lib kind of space. And, it's just that music that's really open already is really, like, good for a certain type of producer that's trying to make something fresh, because it's wide open. But I picked this one also because it has, like, 3 different samples in it. And I was thinking about the producer as being almost like it's like they're taking these different ideas from different worlds to almost like tell another story. And it's really this collage art, So
yes, mural. I think of Romare Bearden all the time when I listen to this music.
Yeah. So Madlib samples Bill Evans, and he samples a Brazilian cat, Oscar something.
Milito.
Yeah. And then he samples at the end. There's some lyrics from George Clinton on it, and so I just in my mind he's like making these little funny stories, like piecing this with that to almost like a little treasure hunt. You know what I mean?
Madlib's music is very good for that. Now Madlib, to speak on another hip hop artist whose father was a jazz musician,
right.
Otis Jackson.
Yeah.
So Otis Jackson, his father was a great jazz musician. He was surrounded by jazz his entire life, Madlib. And so you hear it in his music in a major way. That list of jazz musicians on Jazz Cats Part 1, you familiar with that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's a song. He lists off about 30 or 40. And John Fat is his uncle, right? That's right. And so he lists off about 30 jazz artists on Jazz Cats.
Maybe is that on Shades of Blue?
What album is that on? It's Jazz Cats Part 1. I can't remember what album it's on.
It does sound familiar.
Yeah, I'm going to send it to you in a second, Ryan. So if we can go ahead and play Bill Evans' Nardice.
Say about this before. So one other thing is this sample is really only in the beginning of the song, and I just it's interesting because it's used almost as like a world building tool because it's not really the main part of the song, but it opens, like it creates this space for the music to then live inside, which is crazy.
Which Madlib song is sampled?
This is the Madlib song is Raid. It's a Raid. It's Mad Villain. MF Doom.
Right.
Madlibs.
Can you look up MF Doom Raid?
RAID.
RAID. But you can play America Latina, Oscar Milito in the meanwhile. Okay. All right, for sure. Yeah, thank you. So the Bill Evans, America Latina, and George Clinton are all sampled in the hip hop song we're going to play.
Yeah.
So this is the second song that he samples.
Is that it? I don't think that's it.
Yeah. Oscar Melito, Quarteto Firma. Play George Clinton, yeah.
This was definitely a curveball pick.
Hello, I'm the computer game Dracula, and I like to suck necks. I am out in my brain, cause I get out insane, and I'm up to my jugular with deranged, but I'm a winner!
I love this song.
Motherfucking sign. And my
You can bring it
son
down.
is crazy.
So if you could pull up MF Doom Raid. Yep, that's right. All right, yeah, hit that joint.
I'm your funky dancing computer game. 212, and of course.
How Doom hold heat and preach non-violence. He about to start the speech, come on, silence. On one starry night, I saw the light. Heard a voice that sounded like Barry White, said, sure you're right. Don't let me find out who tried to bite. They better off going to fly a kite in a firefight during tornado time with no coat, then I caught ya. Wrote the book on rhymes, a note from the author. With no headshot, he said it's been a while. Got a breadwinner style to get an inner child to finna smile. And that's no exaggeration. The doctor told the patient it's all in your imagination, Negro. What do he know about the buttery flow? He need to cut the ego, tripping. To date, the metal fellow been ripping flows since New York plates was ghetto yellow with broke blue writing. This
Yeah, that's
is
good.
exciting. Folks leave out the show
That's
feeling
good.
truly enlightened.
Thank you, brother.
Villain been spitting
Madlib is a
lightning, the rock
sampling
shock
fool.
the boogie
Like-
down the
He might be my favorite producer.
Yeah? Yeah. There's a cat out in the audience. That's one of his favorite producers as well. Big shout out to IY in the house. What's up going on, DJ IY in the house? Yeah, and shout out to my cousin. What's up? How y'all doing? Yeah, so that Madlib is a lot of people's favorite, bro. Like his skill at doing it is just, and then he jumps out there and tries to play and
Yeah.
does all the things.
But it bounces like real jazz records. Like, you know what I mean? He knows how to find those pockets, and it feels like it's not strict time. It's never
It's never strict
it's
time.
never strict. And
Yeah.
that's why for me it's very liberating. You know what I mean? It's free. You know.
Talk about that, and then we'll talk about your record, but talk about the freedom in jazz and hip hop, because both possess that quality.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think that that's just part of it. I say there's no freedom without discipline, and I think that one thing that's interesting that jazz is so free, but it also requires so much study and inner work and growth, and you know what I mean. So in development, and so I don't know why it's so free, but that's definitely why I love it so much. But I also think that there's this kind of thing where the freest cat that also is like the one that's practicing
The most.
yeah, which is, it's this irony, it's a beautiful irony to it, a humbling kind of experience,
And it's like, it's so funny, the work you have to do to be free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
freedom is never free.
And then you get up there and play, and it sounds like, most people hear it, and it sounds like noise, and it's like, oh, this is the greatest player, and it's like just straight noise to,
To some.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
It's
these are the
such a-
jazz heads here. These are the jazz
Yeah,
heads,
but
so it's not noise to them.
But there's even certain stuff that I hear that's like, I gotta, I graduated to.
Boom.
I started at Giant Steps with
Right.
Train, then I graduated to Love Supreme, and then I graduated to Ascension.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's still some stuff there's still some late train stuff where I gotta really sit down and if I'm gonna deal with it, it's
Yeah, it's like me. I heard Sketches of Spain before I heard Bitches Brew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, you take this walk with the artist,
There was a copy of Live Evil, Miles Davis, in my house growing up, which is like, it was like a live during the Bitches Brew era that they chopped up. But man, that record I was afraid of that record as a child. Like I didn't listen to it on my own for until I was older. I'd see it and I'd be like,
Yeah, the Bitches Brew cover used to kind of scare me a little bit.
The cover, the more out the music, the more out the cover.
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm not ready for that yet. Maybe one day I'll be ready.
This ain't jazz, but the scariest record that was in my house was the Mandrill record with that mandrill monkey on the front of it. I used to scare the hell out of me as a kid.
Man. Scary records.
Scary records. That's the next talk. Scary records, right?
That should be a label.
Scary records. There you go. Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about your work. Now, I've talked to Kassa on my radio show. I haven't talked to him about this record. I talked to him about his last record, but the one before this, the one before this was this. Man, just emotionally, you just went so deep on that record, on the one before the latest one.
Yeah.
And I applaud you, brother, for that record. If you have not, what's the name of the record?
Animals.
Y'all need to go listen to Animals, because what Kassa does, he digs deep into his own persona, his own life story, and really delivers a tour de force, man. I mean, you just from the emotions from that record, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, we talked about that on my radio show. I don't know if you remember that, but that was a few years back.
I remember talking to you. I don't remember what I said, though.
Yeah, it was a great conversation, just so you know. It was a great conversation. Now, the latest album is called Cream. Now, for the Wu-Tang fans out there, I don't know if any Long Islanders out here, or Staten Islanders, that is, out here, Shaolin folks, but it's called Cream, and they have a song called Cash Rules Everything Around Me. Cream, get the money, dollar bill, y'all. And what he's done on this album is that he has one song that is a cover, Freedom Jazz Dance, right?
Yeah,
so
technically.
It's sort of a cover, right? And that's the Eddie Harris?
Yep.
Yeah, Eddie Harris, Freedom Jazz Dance is the first cut on the album. But all the other songs on the album are his versions of hip-hop songs. So essentially he did the opposite. Like hip-hop normally digs into jazz and creates this new thing. He dug into hip-hop and created a new thing. Some of the songs on that album, let's get into the first one, which is Freedom Jazz Dance. And again, this is somewhat of a cover of a Eddie Harris song.
I say technically because we also utilized the Busta Rhymes, Put Your Hands on My Eyes.
Right.
So it kind of was still dealing with the two.
And that's Seals and Crofts.
Right.
That
which
track.
I didn't know. I didn't know the original for that.
Yeah, Seals and Crofts.
Yeah.
My mom had that record.
Yeah.
So we're talking about that Busta Rhymes song, do-do-doom.
Right.
You know that song. That's Seals and Crofts sample. Play the first one for us, if you would. This is Kassa Overall from his latest album, Cream. This one is Freedom Jazz Dance. Thank you, thank you. That's a great tune. I listen to the first track all the time. I listen to that track all the time.
Thank you.
So you want to talk about that cut?
Yeah. So yeah, Freedom Jazz Dance. There's a Miles Davis version of that song, and so we really were pulling from the Miles Davis version and the Busta Rhymes pattern. And I had originally during COVID, I did a remix where I mashed those two of those up. So it kind of was like a ongoing idea that grew, and then we did it live, and then this could be a thing, you know what I mean? But one thing I was gonna add though was that it was kind of a anti-experiment for my own process, because most of my records I'm chopping and recording, producing, reproducing, and all of that, and instead we went in and recorded everything in one room, like a jazz record back in the day. So there was no editing, and there was no
punches.
All of that was no punches. Everything was just takes, and that was just kind of a practice.
Punching is when you stop the recording, back it up, and put in a little piece. So if you hit a bad note on your sax or whatever, they back up the tape, and then you can redo your part. That's called a punch in the recording process. So what he's saying is that this album has no punch ins. So they play the whole thing straight through. Yeah, so they play it straight through just like they did back in the days.
Yep.
So the next tune is Cream, Cash Rules Everything Around Me. Originally Wu-Tang, as I said. Let's get into that tune. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful music. Yeah, give it up for this beautiful music. Yes, indeed. Now, just really quickly, the RZA, of course, produced Cream. And he's sampled quite a few jazz artists over the years. He's more known for his blues sampling and early R&B sampling than he is jazz. But a Shame on a Nuh, you know that song? Shame on a Nuh. That's actually Thelonious Monk, Black and Tan Fantasy.
Oh, really? Wow.
And Method Man, METHOD, that song. Y'all know that song? METHOD, Man. That's actually Functional by Thelonious Monk and John Coltrane.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so some of his biggest songs are jazz samples.
Piano, that out of tune piano.
Yeah,
sound,
exactly.
Because it is, you do hear it's out of tune, and Monk was always playing out of tune on purpose.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very.
Wow.
That's another level. Another level indeed. All right, so the next tune, this group is that he's covered, is known for sampling jazz and also known for being extremely creative in their use of it. That's Diggable Planets.
Yeah.
This one is Rebirth of the Slick. Y'all know this one. Can you hit that one? Rebirth of the Slick.
Here it comes. block, but
I don't want to let this one go. Thank you, Ryan. I wanted that one to keep. You sent that one to me in advance of the record coming out, and I was so excited to play that on the air, brother. When I hit that on WPFW, the phone lit up instantly. Like, who is that? You know. And I love that song because of what you do with time in that song. Can you talk to me about the time signatures in that one?
Yeah. So this was probably the most fun I had in the album, because we did 3 sessions, and that was the either second or third. It might have been the third session. So I kind of cracked the code of what we were doing by then, and then, all right, well, let me take them, you know. But basically, if you listen to the original, right? It's pretty straight ahead, but it almost wants to be an odd measure.
Yes, it does.
It has that it's like it's right there.
Blakey.
Yeah, so it's ready, but you just have to cut off one beat at the end. That's literally all you're doing. So if you're counting to 4 times, on the 4th time you just count to 3. It's simple, right? So 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3, pop. Right?
Okay.
So then if you add the melody, da da ding, da da da, da da ding, da da da, da. I can't. Da da ding, da da da, da da ding, da da da, da da ding.
Right.
Right. So you just chopping off one note. It's really like you could almost see it like a pie. And it creates almost like the lope. Like when you think of jazz, and you think somebody walking down the street like with that same energy, it's almost like that. It has that.
I got you.
The and the 4.
I got you.
Right? So, yeah. It has that kind of built into it. So I just it really just start. A lot of these ideas kind of just start in my head. Like, what if we just chopped a note off? What would it sound like? And then you kind of go and figure out how to do it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it don't work. You know what I mean? But a lot of them really just kind of start in your head first. Like, what if Cash Rules Everything Around Me had the love theme from Spartacus drums? You know what I mean? And you just kind of imagine just the basic ingredients.
Right,
you know?
right.
So it gets a lot more detailed and complex when you try to pull it off. But really, it just starts with that little idea. All you need is that little idea. And you don't got to do too much more. Like, you might try to add this and add that, but if you could just find one good idea to do to something, that's
good money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers.
Stretching.
A song called Stretching.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another jazz sample. And for that original rap song, Rebirth of the Slick, has that in it. Number 4 on the album is not. Would you rather play another one of those? You got G Thing. You got Check. Spodioli.
I'd say Spodioli.
Okay, can we skip forward to Spodioli Dopalicious? This is an Outkast cut originally. Thank you. These songs I'm playing, I don't want them to stop. You know, they're such great tunes. Do y'all agree? These are fantastic jazz music. You know what I'm saying? Fantastic jazz music being played by this brother here, Kassa, overall. And we're going to reach out. Before we have some questions from the audience, are you able to, do you remember all the players on that record?
Yes.
Yeah, can you list some of those players or all of them if you?
I could try.
Yeah.
So Benji Alonso is on percussion, Matt Wong is on keys, and then Rashawn Carter is on bass, and Jeremiah Collab is on bass. It's different sessions. And then Tomoki Sanders is on sax and a little percussion, and Emilio Modeste is on sax for some, and then Ann Drummond is on flute for 2 songs, and Anthony Ware is playing baritone sax for 1 song. Oh, thank you. Oh, no, that's it. I'm done. That's everybody.
Yes, some players. And some of those last names sound familiar, too.
Yeah.
Are those some of the children of Jasmine?
Oh, yeah. Tomoki Sanders.
Sanders, right.
That's Pharaoh's kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I assumed that's what it was. I thought
Yeah.
that's what it was. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're
And
gonna.
you can hear it, too. It's the tenor. It's
Yeah.
the same sound.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is he out there at the bridge with him? Yeah. So we're gonna ask allow you guys to ask some questions if you have any. We certainly appreciate you guys coming out tonight to the museum for this this event. Have you enjoyed yourself thus far? Yeah. Okay. Good. Raise your hand if you got a question. What's up, cuz?
What's going on, cuz? Welcome to New York.
Thank you.
Again and again and again. Thank you for the invite to come out. This is a pleasure to hear some good music. Getting back into jazz. I've been away from it for a little while, but just from listening tonight, thank you.
Okay.
From a naturalist. The question is really not from me. It's from my boy, my best friend. His father is Roy Brooks. And he wanted me to ask you, are you familiar with any of his drum patterns or anything like that? And he's out of Detroit.
Yeah.
So that's the question coming from him.
Big shout out to Roy Brooks. Yeah, so I'm hip to Roy Brooks through Jerry Allen. Detroit, Jerry Allen was the first person to take me to Europe, and I toured in her band for years. So back in 2007, I played at the Studio Museum in Harlem. That was my first gig with her, and then we went to Europe the next day. Wow. So, yeah, and so that was, I thought, that was like, this is it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't got to worry about money anymore. But I did, though. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're still grinding. Yeah, she hit me to Roy Brooks, and I actually would like to dive in and actually learn some of his, you know what I mean, what he brought. But I've heard him, and I'm familiar. I've researched him, but I would like to get some more info on him. And much love to him.
So with that being said, he has some untapped, untouched music that some have not heard. So if you ever want to have that connection, I'll get the information to my cousin.
100%. Yeah.
Got you.
Let's chop it up, man. That would be amazing.
Right on. We have any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in the rap time,
Yeah.
What's it, Curtis Blow, and so I'm curious because the change in music during that time. I know we had the scat and we had the poetic, radical poets, and it was called rap. When did hip hop come into the scene? Because, I'm trying to figure out what is the difference between the rap and the hip hop.
Yeah.
And has hip hop replaced rap? And in terms of hip hop, has it influenced jazz or has jazz influenced hip hop? So.
Okay, so like, first off, I'm not a what do you call it? I'm not the expert on anything. You know what I mean? Like anything I say in this medium, this is just the way I see it or the way that but you know what I mean? I haven't done enough to research to say this and then that and this. This is just my humble opinion, right? But the short answer is yes to all of that. You know what I mean? Because I was born in, when you had that DJ set, I was born in 82. And so I was a toddler, right? I'm coming into the world, and the world is brand new as this hip hop phenomenon is taking over. So for me, the center of the universe was hip hop. You know what I mean? It was like, that was the most exciting thing, you know? And so for me, I didn't really see a distinction immediately, you know? And I think that you had rap and you had, what are we calling that? We're talking about cats, instead of singing, they're talking over the beats, you know, in a very simple, what is the new development? You know, you have cats, like you said, you had cats like the Last Poets and different people doing that before, but it became like, that's the centerpiece of this genre, is we're talking in rhythm, and it's able, I think the thing that people didn't realize was it's able to connect to people in a way that singing might not have been able to. And so that was rap. But then I think what happened was, within that medium, you started being able to talk about different things, or you know what I mean? So some cats might have leaned towards, we're just trying to make a record that's gonna get everybody hype or have a good time or whatever it is. And then cats started leaning more into consciousness and trying to be more using the medium to impart wisdom, you know. And I think that that's like, maybe theoretically, that's how we have rap and then hip hop kind of it going in two different spaces, but they're also both the same. You know what I mean? Like, especially hip hop, I see hip hop as part of rap, because if you had rap first, right, hip hop's coming out of rap. So I see hip hop as like being a part of rap, and I don't think about it like that. Like, you have hip hop heads and this conscious rapper, and then you have cats that aren't, you know, because no person is just singly all conscious and all not conscious. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know anybody that's this fully like that, you know, but obviously you have more, you might be more one, more the other. But my favorite artists have always been people that they could be in the club and they could, you know, turn up, and they could, you know, you could get that energy, and then you make a left turn and it could get deeper, and they could kind of do both and weave around. That was always what spoke to me more, because I don't know why, but that's just what it is, you know. So I think of it as all part of the same. And then the other question about, did jazz influence hip hop, or did hip hop influence jazz? And I would say that, for starters, jazz definitely influenced hip hop. You know, I think that part of the creation, the beginnings of hip hop, was people didn't really have the access to instruments and standard musical education. And so to circumvent that, they innovated, right? To circumvent that, they started taking records and turning something that's a consumer product into a musical instrument product. You know what I mean? You have something that's just you're supposed to just play records and have a good time, and then you turning that into an instrument, right? And so similarly, they're taking the harmonics and rhythms from jazz, create something new. But now we're in a space now where it's definitely going the other way now, you know, whether that's just the style, you know, like it'll be jazz, but everything about it'll be like hip hop elements, you know, and it'll be very hip hop based. And I think it's just natural, you know, we all have our perspective of like where we started and how we see it, you know what I mean? But I have a son that's about to be 2, right? And I wonder how he's gonna, you know what I mean? Is he even gonna know? You know, he likes John Coltrane though. He says, John Train. I'm trying to train. But you know what I'm saying? It's like just a perspective. It's hard to really say. And I think that we also grow up in times, and we also have we have passion. I don't know if that's the right word, but we have a lot of love for those our times. You know, our times where we were coming in, where we're little kids or where we're coming of age, and we think that was like the moment when music peaked, you know,
or began.
began. Yeah, and you know, obviously, there's moments you look back and there are high points. You know, there are moments like for hip hop. There's a couple years where it felt like, dang, classics. You know, and 88,
93,
96, 93, and 96 for me that might be a little personal, but in 96 you got All Eyes on Me, you got It Was Written, you got I think Reasonable Doubt, you got Southern Playalistic, ATLiens, Me and You, Yo Mama and Yo Cousin Too. My mom knows that verse. And she don't listen to rap. She knows it. Yeah, there was a lot of records in that year. But yeah, so you have these moments where the energy kind of comes to this point. You know what I mean? And I'm always like looking. I'm like, I'm never gonna be somebody that's like, oh man, ain't nobody doing nothing no more. Like, it's got tired. Like I can't live like that. You know what I mean? Even if it's like that, I'm not going to see it because I'm always waiting for the next Charlie Parker moment. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it could happen at any minute. It could happen where we're all making stuff and trying things, and then somebody figures out to put this with that and da-da-da, and next thing you know, pow, it's like it busts open. So like I'm always waiting for that, and I feel like it's a little bit It's a little bit self-absorbed to think that can't happen. You know what I mean?
I totally get
it. Yeah.
Now, my answer to your question, if rap versus hip hop, if it's not of the 5 elements of hip hop as set forth here in New York City, then it's rap. If you're rapping, you know what I mean? In my opinion. If you're West Coast, if you're wherever else that is rapping on a microphone to a beat, that's rap music to me. But if it follows the elements of hip hop, as set forth here, then it's hip hop. Yeah, and New York specifically, the elements that were come up with by Zulu many years ago, and those elements, I can't call them all off, but they all are disciplines within hip hop.
Right, rap, DJ,
graph,
breakdancing.
And
then was the 5th one was the science, or like the knowledge?
Science was the knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's the 5. So if you're not following those 5 things, that's not hip hop in my opinion. That's my opinion. But you can be a rapper all day, and you might not have ever heard of the 5 elements of hip hop.
Right.
And still have a great rap career and be a respected artist. Do we have any more questions? Anyone? Come on, somebody come up with a good. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would just like to know both of your vision. What do you see for the future for your both careers, and also this new, I guess, is a genre called neo soul. Would you consider that a blend of the hip hop and jazz?
Yeah, neo soul is kind of like everything: R&B, soul, hip hop. It's got the beats of a hip hop.
Right.
It's got the soul of soul music, the lyrical content of a soul music, and sometimes it's straight R&B where they just, I love you, baby, don't leave me. You know what I'm saying? So neo soul, as that's a term coined, that is, by Kedar Massenberg when he was at Motown. So he was managing Erykah Badu for a good little while and D'Angelo for a little while, and he coined the term neoclassical soul is what it was initially termed. So neoclassical soul was shortened to neo soul. And essentially all it is just saying that the music of people like Curtis Mayfield, people like the later years of Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye started as in more R&B feel and moved into soul. So the later 70s years, people who emulate that sound and those types of artists are considered neo-soul artists. A lot of them don't like the term, but I just think it's a cool way of saying soul music that came after 1990.
And the thing is that I think that a lot of when we talk about genres, you know, not so much the hip-hop thing, because that's more of a cultural thing, right?
That's culture, yeah.
Right, but when we're talking about genres like neo-soul or even jazz or blues or rap, a lot of that goes back to like commerce and labels and things, you know. So like he said, you might have somebody to label that's like, yo, we got this new artist and it's got a fresh sound. We got to figure out how to explain this in one word. You know what I mean? And somebody else might come along and say, neoclassical soul, that's too long. We got to call it neo soul. You know what I'm saying? it's like a lot of that's kind of marketing and commerce stuff, you know? And so as I think when you're creating music, when you're making art, I think it's best to like try not to let that influence what you're making too much, and just try to make something that's fresh to you. You know what I mean? And there always comes a time where you have to figure out how to explain it. They got to figure out how to explain it, and you might say it's a mixture of this and that and meets this and that, but ultimately it leans towards division a lot. You know what I mean? When you get too caught up into that, you know, it's almost like, I don't like broccoli. You know, it's like kind of, it really gets a little bit, and you realize that like, oh man, all these different musicians and producers and stuff, a lot of them are working together, and a lot of them are working in different genres and fields. It's 12 notes, it's 4 beats in a measure, and how creative can you be? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And go ahead.
Well, I have a question. I wanted to have you both talk about what are your future projects coming up, as well as share all of your information for people to follow you guys.
Well, I'm finishing up another record right now, actually, and I'm excited, man. It's been a journey because sometimes you finish a record and you're like, all right, I'm gonna come right with another one, but it takes some time to figure out what's happening. And this record is kind of kicking back to my earlier, you know, it has the production and lyrics and everything, but I'm taking a lot more of the jazz elements, and so it has a little bit of that texture as well, but I'm just kind of really getting into the writing process again, and I'm excited.
You got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
2-year-old and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I had a demo version of it about 6 months ago, and I played it for my partner, and she was like, "It's good, but you're not gonna talk about nothing." You know what I mean? Because it was just like bangers. You know, it was like and maybe I hadn't processed enough to really crack into what the deeper levels. So I went back in and went back in and went back in, and now I'm getting to a place where I'm like, all right, I got something to say, and so I'm just excited trying to finish it. Yeah, I'm getting close.
And you're headed to Europe tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're doing a quick run, Brussels and Portugal and Romania, and a couple little shows, and then get back home and change some diapers.
And how can they find you?
At Kassa Overall on Instagram, Kassa Overall, like the clothing, Kassa Overall. And
is that your actual last name? I've been meaning to ask you that for years.
Yeah, it is.
That's your actual last name?
Yeah, I feel like I should put that in my Instagram bio or something.
My actual last name.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, because I feel like if it wasn't my last name, then that just makes you kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of a jerk type of a name.
But I was thinking to myself that you were making a statement about your life when you said that. Like I was thinking that you were saying it's Kassa Overall.
Like over everybody?
Over everything, right? You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's
so it
kind
does
of
sound kinda, yeah, I guess it does.
egocentric. Like,
Yeah,
you know.
I guess it could come off that way.
Now, when
That's
I was
his real name, y'all.
That's my real name. Don't come on. My
All right,
dad's
so-
name is Charles overall.
Okay. And we're gonna wrap this up. And as far as I go,
What you got going?
Yeah, I do a lot of things, y'all. I'm a professional DJ. I'll be doing a lot of events in the DC area at places like the Bethesda Theater. I'll be in national parks over the summer. I'm also a marketer, so I market things for a living as well. I'm currently marketing and advertising a play that was just here in New York a months ago. It's called 44 the Musical. It's about the first term of Barack Obama. So I'm currently marketing and advertising that in DC, and then we'll be moving that play to Atlanta and Philadelphia. And musically speaking, I want y'all to listen to a record that I co-produced. It's by a gentleman by the name of Garrett Scheider. Now, his father is Gary Scheider of Parliament Funkadelic fame. Garrett currently sings lead for George Clinton Parliament Funkadelic. You see him out on tour with George everywhere. We did a record called Regurgitated Youth. You may be familiar with the record America Eats Is Young by Funkadelic.
Yeah.
So America Ate Is Young, and it didn't go down so well. So that led to Regurgitated Youth. So I co-produced. I wrote half of the songs on that record and produced it. So I want y'all to listen to that record, Garrett Scheider, Regurgitated Youth, if you really want to hear some good P-Funk. And I'll be doing more concert promotion in the D.C. area. I'm hoping to bring this man to town at some point.
Come on, man.
And
I'm ready.
And so just check for me at DJ Lance Reynolds. Reynolds like the aluminum foil, Lance like the cookies and the crackers.
Is that your real?
That's my real name. Like, and people have asked me for years, that sounds like a soap opera name or a secret agent name or something. That's my actual name.
Yeah.
People thought I made that name up to be a DJ, but no, that's my actual factual name. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm everywhere, Instagram, all the places that you socialize, I'm there. So check me out. Also, WPFW 89.3. You can listen up here. You can listen WPFWFM.org. I'm on every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon with the House of Soul. I encourage y'all to listen.
Give DJ Lance Reynolds and Kassa overall a round of applause.
Thank you.
And also give a round of applause to Mumu Fresh, Maimouna Youssef, who's the curator of these events. And I'm the Bateals, and Ryan Maloney is the director. Come on out, Ryan. You know.
Don't be shy.
Yes, indeed. Creative director for the National Jazz Museum of Harlem. And thank you all very much. Have a wonderful night. Go Knicks.
I can't even say nothing. The Wizards ain't nowhere.